Hello folks, and thank you for joining me once again. And today's tutorial I'm going to tie up another old wet fly pattern that I got out of my book Bergman Trout, and it's called the Abbey. It simply has a red floss body. It has a gold rib and tag, and instead of duck quill it uses mallard flank for the wing, and golden pheasant tippet, and a red throat. It's a sharp looking wet fly, so I decided to pick this one out this time for you. So we'll get started here. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with white thread, danvilles 6/0 white. Then we're going to switch to black later on and during the tying process. So we'll start about hook eye length behind the eye like usual, and we're going to wrap a thread base back to halfway in between the burb, almost to the burb pretty much. Alright, now for a tag I have some small flat gold tinsel here, so I'm going to tie that in, catch that in underneath there with a couple wraps. Alright, that's fine. Now what I want to do is I generally go back 4 to 5 wraps and then back up, down, and then up with the tinsel. That's how I do it. So we'll go down 5 wraps, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we'll come back up 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then we'll tie that off. A couple wraps there, just like so, once I get my thread to cooperate. Okay, and I'll snip that off nice and close. Okay, now next is our tail. And her tail is golden pheasant tippet. I'm going to snip out a small bunch here for the tail. Don't want an overly thick tail on them. And we'll measure that up about the length of the hook shank here. Switch hands. And we'll tie that in on top here with a pinch wrap. Okay, just a couple wraps to hold it in place there. Now I'll cut those off to where I want the body to end on the fly. Okay, next is our rib, and I have another piece of the small flat gold tinsel here. And I want to catch this guy in on the bottom here. Just like so. I'm just going to bring that around so it's on the bottom, pretty much. And I'll pull that to length here. I want that to be the same length as the tail, where I cut off the tail material, pretty much. Okay, a couple wraps to lock that in. Stick that in the material clip. Now the body is dark red floss, so I got a piece of floss here, uni single strand floss. Now I'll catch that in here. Bring it up around here on my side of the hook this time. And we'll pull that to length here, same as the other materials. Okay, right about there. Okay, alrighty. Now, the key is to try not to get any bumps in your underbody before you wrap the floss. So try that your best anyway. So my thread is fraying there for some reason. I don't know why, but now we'll wrap that up, cover that all up. Now we have a pretty good smooth base there for the floss. Now, floss, I just like to keep working that back and try for it not to fray too much on me. Is the key. It's a tricky part with floss because you know how it likes to fray if it gets a chance on you. And we'll try to get a smooth as body as we possibly can on this guy, so we'll work our way up. That looks fairly decent. I think I'll back that up just a bit. One thing about it, if you don't like something as you're tying, you can always back up and start over. So now I'm just going to keep my hook on the side as I wrap this. I just find it a little easier sometimes to get her going. Then I'll turn the vise back up around. Whoops. Alrighty. And we're almost up to our tie-off point here. So it's right there, so I'll tie that off. Couple wraps, and I'll snip him out. Alrighty. So now we can switch to the black thread. So I have some black danville. So now I'm just going to catch that on the white here, and we're going to tie that off, or tie that in there, the black, and snip off our two pieces here. Alright, so now we got our black thread going here. Alrighty, so now take our rib. Okay, we want the gold to show, so I'm going to come around here. And usually get 4 to 5 wraps on these guys. Usually. Somewhere in that range. Sometimes you end up with 5, sometimes 6. So come up around a couple wraps to catch that tinsel. And I'm going to wrap forward on it. And then back to lock it in place here. One more wrap forward, and I'll fold it back and lock that in. Okay. Snip that excess off. Alrighty. So now is our throat, and the throat is simply some red hackle barbels. You generally use schlappen, but I don't have any in the red, so I just picked the saddle hackle out. I'm going to use the softer webby stuff at the bottom. So I'm going to grab a pretty good size amount here. Alright. I'll pull those off and sort of fold them between my fingers a little bit. So we end up with something sort of like so. And we'll catch that in here. Okay, underneath. I'll pull straight up on that. Then make a couple of skewering wraps. And one more forward. And there's our throat on the fly. So I'm going to come in over so carefully and snip off our excess material. Alright, so now we're going to wrap forward on that and try to create a nice smooth base here for tying our wing. Alright, that's looking pretty good there. Alright, okie dokie. Now our wing is mallard flank this time around, and what I do is a lot of times I'll take a slip of it off the right side of the feather, and then one off the left, like so. Then I just put them together, same as you would duck quills, or you can also just strip some off and make a wing that way. If it's just a fishing fly, you don't have to be too fussy with it. If I was fishing this fly, I would just tear a bunch off and fold them in my fingers, but this one here, I'm just doing it this way for the video to show you. Okay, and then you just stroke the two bunches together like so. Once you get them together, then you end up with something like so. And we'll place those on top, same as you would duck quills here. And I want those to come back about halfway on the tail, so then we'll come down around with a pinch wrap, and then I'm just going to grab those, let the bobbin come down, then pull down, then pull straight up on them, and wrap back a little bit just to make sure they're locked in there. That looks pretty good there. Okay, so then we'll just come in and I'll snip the excess here up on an angle slightly, and that doesn't look too bad at all. Like I say, you don't have to do your wings that way. You can just do them the simpler way that I explained to you there. It's if you're going to just This is just for looks more than anything. Okay, so now we'll just build the head up on him a little bit here. Work the thread back and forth there to build up a small head. Alrighty. That looks fine. Okay, now I'm just going to do a whip finish and we'll be done. So I'll spin my thread counterclockwise here and try to smooth it out a little bit for doing the whip finish. Alrighty. So we'll come in here and get a whip finish on this guy. That'll be a done deal. Okay. Alrighty. Snug that down. And we'll come in nice and close and trim that off. And there we have it. Just gonna try to adjust that wing a little bit there, folks. That's better. Alrighty. So there she be, another size 10 Abbey. Sharp looking little wet fly. Another one of the Bergman's bulk trout. So now I'll just take a little bit of Solar bone dry. Get some on my needle here. Okay. Just go around on the thread wraps here. Alrighty. Alright, we don't need a large amount. Just enough to get it, cover all the thread wraps, and I'll cure that up. Okay. There we go. That's fine. And there we have it, folks. Another classic wet fly. They're not too difficult to tie, just have to be patient with them and take your time. I really enjoy tying these older patterns, and I hope you enjoy watching these type of flies being tied as well. So, like always, I want to thank you all for watching, and I really appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed yet and you'd like to see more flies, hit the good old subscribe button if you wish. Appreciate that a great deal. And if you have any comments, throw them down below. I always like to hear from my subscribers or anybody that's new to my channel. So, until next time, everyone, happy tying out there. I'll see you all again soon, and so long for now, folks.